Smashing weekend at the box office for the Fast and Furious franchise as the new Furious 7 opened to the biggest April release in history with $143 million. It also marks the largest opening for the series in its 7-film history. In second place is the animated film Home, dropping less than 50% from its opening weekend, making $27.4 million. In third spot is the Kevin Hart Will Ferrell comedy Get Hard, making $12.9 million. Cinderella holds on to the number 4 spot for the second week in a row, making an additional $10.2 million, pushing it to nearly $400 million worldwide. And rounding out the top 5 is Insurgent, making $10 million. John, what stands out to you in this week's box office breakdown?
Well, the biggest thing that stands out to me is this. This weekend, clearly and thoroughly behind his back, I was making fun of John Schnepp a lot, saying, you know, my buddy Schnepp, he could tell you who is the caterer and the assistant art director on a 1927 black and white film. He can tell you everything about anything about movies. But man, when it comes to his box office predictions, I think that movie's going to be number 1 for 17 weeks in a row. Really? That movie's going to make $800 million. So he makes this ludicrous prediction. This is like unbelievably stupid prediction that I think Fast and Furious 7 is going to make $150 million. And in my head, I'm like, here we go again. Oh, he crushed it. I mean, he was off by, out of 150, he was off by 7 million, as opposed to like Mark and I, who were off by 43 million.
Yeah, I had it at 105.
Oh, you were closer than me then. I had it at 98. I had it at 98. You had 105. So I was off by $45 million. I was off. Schnepp, when he does get it, man, he crushes it.
It's rare. It's very rare. But I got this one and Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, man, it's going to be the sleeper hit. And everyone was like, no one knows about it. It's a tree and a raccoon. I was like, I'm telling you. And so I could claim those 2 movies, and I could also claim a lot of other failures, but we won't talk about those. Let me enjoy my victory.
Enjoy the victory. Enjoy the victory. Look, let's put this in perspective, too. At $143 million, as Ashley mentioned, it is the biggest box office opening in April history. The second place, the one that was number 1, was Captain America Winter Soldier at $95 million. Totally destroyed that. It is the 9th biggest opening weekend in film history. And no film has had a bigger opening weekend since 2013's Hunger Game Catching Fire. Wow. Like that's how big of an opening this was. You think people have been hungry to get back into the movie theaters to see some quality big blockbusters again? Yes. I think this bodes incredibly well for all the big blockbusters we have coming out. I think there's a hunger there for people to see stuff like this. So it was really good to see Cinderella hanging there. Cinderella held on to the number 4 spot for a second week in a row. It's now like almost $400 million worldwide. So those are the things that stand out to me. Schnepp, what about you?
Well, also that not only that Fast and Furious made so much money, but it definitely comes from like the vibe, the word of mouth. That's why I even said that much, because everyone's like was looking forward to that film, and that's kind of the one that everybody seems to touch on this summer, aside from the other big movies. What sticks out to me is that Home came in number 2. Once again, that just really shows you, even though it didn't get really good reviews, that it didn't matter. It's people want to see animated content, and they want to be able to
families
take their
need something to take their kids to.
Families need some fun on the weekends, and that's what the Home is providing them. I think
$27 million. I didn't know that many people could squeeze into the movie theater with the lines that were for Furious 7. I mean, that movie made $143 million and caused about $900 million worth of speeding tickets this weekend. I think it's great. I think this is exciting for the rest of the summer. Like what you said, John, is that now the Avengers, the bar has been set, I think, a little bit higher than even Age of Ultron. They're sitting back like, whoa, how much money are we going to make? Like, because again, Captain America, it pales in comparison. That opening weekend, now $98 million, doesn't look so good. Right. So it seems like every year we have a movie come out and it sets the bar, it sets the standard higher for what an opening weekend can do. And this did it again. And I think that we talked about it on Friday when certain other members of the show were actually seeing the film. We were talking about how much could this movie possibly make. And the death of Paul Walker, I think, as sad as it is, it lends a level of intrigue that you didn't have with any any of the other Fast films in the franchise. The Rock's back, Vin Diesel's back. The trailers were great. They showed a great action sequence in all the commercials for it. So everybody wanted to see it. It looked awesome. Critically, it didn't disappoint anybody. I think everybody walked out saying it was what they wanted to see. So $143 million, my God, it's going to be real interesting to see how this movie holds up this coming weekend.
Well, there's not a lot. Like, what do we got?
There's not a lot of competition
against. There's not a whole lot opening against it. And here's the other thing. I think its success, I think, also speaks to the fact that people love Fast 6. I mean, and there's been a snowball effect happening ever since. I still believe that number 4 turned this franchise around. 5 brought in The Rock and brought them to a whole new level. And then 6 was even bigger, more bombastic, and everybody loved it, huge money. And so you've got a combination of things. They're getting out of the gate first with the big summer releases. They've riding that wave of momentum. They're putting into it the things that people want to see in it. And yeah, even though full kudos to Universal for not capitalizing on it, the tragedy of Paul Walker, I think you're right, added more intrigue. And it just was a perfect storm of stuff come together. And it's congratulations to them for it. You know?
And they added an element of a villain where I don't think that you got, like a lot of times in these other films, some of the major villains are just the cops that have their sirens on. Now you knew Jason Statham was going to be the bad guy. Maybe the addition of Kurt Russell, the more star power that was in here, I think maybe up the box office a little bit too.
Yeah, and let's face it, Ronda Rousey, I'll be shocked if she doesn't get a Best Supporting Actress nomination. No. But don't tell her I said that.